dude.
Okay, I got to start this off. All right, Madison Rose Ostergren. That's it.
Yeah,
That's nailed
that's
it.
the name. You nailed it. Ostegren, a very Swedish name.
Swedish. All right, I'm
Yeah.
going to ask the question that I think everyone listening wants to know right off the bat.
Okay.
What would you do if you found a penguin in your freezer?
Oh my God. Is it alive or what's happening?
I think it's alive.
Oh, dude, I found a penguin in the freezer. I'd probably ask what it's up to. Like, what are you doing, dude? And then and then I'd maybe try to keep it. I don't know. I live in Wyoming. It's really cold here. Maybe it could survive. I don't know. I think I'd maybe befriend it. Is that okay?
Would you name it? Well, yeah, it's up to
Oh,
this
for
is your
sure.
answer.
I mean, I think I'd befriend it first, and then I'd be like, "What's your name? I'm Madison." And then I think we could be friends. Honestly, I bet I would get along better with the penguin than I don't have any pets, and I can't seem to, I don't see that happening in the future. Kind of like, relationships in the winter, they just kind of go to shit.
Yeah, I'm gone.
So
Sorry.
I feel like I travel too much.
I like that you assume the penguin can talk right off the bat.
Yeah,
Like,
I
oh, I'd
guess.
ask it its name.
Yeah, what's going on, dude? What's your name? And then it would speak to me telepathically, obviously.
That's my new bit as a podcast host. I'm just camp counselor icebreaker questions now. Like right
I
off the
mean,
bat, this is
I
what we're
love
doing.
it.
So you're a pro skier. That's pretty cool. What does that look like? What do you do every
That
day?
What do I try to ski every day, dude, as much as I can. I've been dealing the last few months since the summer with an injury that was caused in the spring from skiing. So I think a big thing is taking care of the body, skiing as much as I can, being active as much as I can, and a lot of thinking about skiing and talking about it too. But it whether it's shooting video, shooting photo, going skiing, planning trips, going on trips, it's a lot of that revolving around skiing, which feels pretty special and amazing. And I think, to be totally honest, there's times I think in everyone's life when you're just sitting down and you're like, maybe you're in a weird spot and you're kind of having a hard time and you're just like, oh man, I'm going through a hard time. But then there's these like beautiful moments of clarity where you're like, holy crap, I have the coolest job ever. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And life is supposed to be up and down, because if you didn't have the lows, you wouldn't have the highs either. And so I feel really lucky. I think I have the coolest job in the absolute universe. And I feel blessed. So that's what I do.
I I do think it's funny that people almost believe that you can't complain because your job is so good, and it's not really a complaint, but it's still life. Like
It's
it's
just that's the whole yeah, exactly, Adam. It's like life. Everyone's going through ups and downs. Doesn't matter what your job is. You could have the best job in the world, which I feel like I'm like, yeah, this is the best. But
it's
life,
work.
it's work, sure, but the work isn't what's ticking me off. It's normal life that it sometimes gets hard. It doesn't really matter what exactly you're doing. You could have an office job and you could still have ups and downs. It's all just perspective.
Yeah, I think sometimes because it's always the grass is always greener, right? Like that's always the thing. And not saying I'd ever want to be an engineer or work in an office, but sometimes I'm like, man, you get to just clock out. Like you don't have scheduled things at 8 p.m. with pro skiers and they just ghost you. That only happens in my life.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Wait, are we gonna have to talk about this on the podcast that I accidentally
Madison ghosted me last night on a episode, but I'm over it. I'm totally over it. It doesn't affect me at all. It's fine.
I'm still feeling quite guilty. So
But
I
no,
owe you.
no, it's fine. But for real, it's like you never get to clock out. You are always on, which is like cool. You get to do what you love, but like you don't get to if you walk to the grocery store and someone recognizes you, like you're Madison.
I
You
mean
have to
I mean,
be.
that's very that's very true, and, I've with that being said, I actually have a really hard time with this because I'm a people pleaser. A couple things about my personality. I feel like people kind of already know, but I'm very extroverted and I'm definitely a people pleaser. And I've been working on these, trying to find balance in both of those things. Like working on being more, I found myself being more introverted and wanting to be home more, and just like taking more solo time. So kind of finding balance in that extroverted, introverted, and then also people pleasing. Like I love loving people, but I love being loved, but I also need to just like take care of myself as well. And I can't always be on. And you have these moments where if you're on for so long, kind of like, I mean, we were together out in Boston at like the Boston ski show, the snowbound show. And it's like that whole day you're having to socialize and talk and be on. And it does get quite tiring socially to be on like that because I still get energy from people, but in the end, I'm like, I just need to go like move my body and be alone and like throw headphones on and get, or go to yoga or climb with my friend. I think it's important to find balance in those. And I have a hard time with that because I always feel like if I'm out in the grocery store and someone recognizes me, I'm like, oh, I know, catch myself. I like perk up and I'm like, oh, hi. And they're like, oh, hey, follow you on social media. And I'm like, oh, hey. And it's like, it's like, I almost have to fulfill what this person's expectation or what their preconceived notion of who I am and what I should be and how I am on social media. And not to say that I'm different on social media, so like a huge difference. I don't think I try to be as authentic as I can, but I do also think that there is part of me that always wants people to like me. I want people to feel included. I want them to feel listened to. So when someone's like, "Hey, I follow you on social media," and I don't know who they are, I'm like, "Oh, like, you know, that's really cool. Like, what's your name? What's your story?" And so I try to connect in that way. But it gets kind of hard sometimes because I have a hard time remembering names. Like, and I catch myself, I'm like, have we met before? And they're like, yeah, on the chairlift one time 5 years ago. And I'm like, dang it, I
Yeah,
can't
but
remember.
I don't think you're expected to, and I don't think they expect you to, but it is an interesting. I don't have the status you do by any means, but if I do at all, it's like in Boston. Like that is like
Right,
an
people
East Coast, like,
recognize you.
and you're like, people are like, "Oh shit, you're Adam X," and you're just like, "Yep." But you are like, "Oh shit, I have to turn it on." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Great." Like, "What's your name?" "Oh, I'm like kissing babies." And I'm like, "Should I kiss that baby? I don't really know what just happened there." And you're like, it's like
I kiss that
and
baby.
it doesn't mean it's not who you are. Like my internet persona is out of control, but like deep down, that's half me. But it's also like I'm also the guy who just likes to kind of hike in the woods alone and be by
Yeah.
myself. And it is. Do you have any weird interactions? Like, what's your weirdest? And you can say no if you don't want to talk about. But like, what's your weirdest person to person interaction?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to
Or
think
DM.
about that
You can
for
go
a second.
DM if you want, because people hide
Or
behind
like,
the internet, which is fun.
I don't know. I find I get a lot of positive people on social media. I feel lucky to have a lot of positive people stoked on like connecting and I mean, I think part of it is the red hair. Like I think I used to hate my hair, now I kind of own it, but like I can't get away with anything. Like I want, whether I'm like, robbing a bank or whatever, like I can't get away with anything. But red hair really is like a blessing and a curse. Sometimes I just want to be stealthy and I just can't pull it off. But I don't know, one time I'm not a big online dater person or whatever, but one time this one guy was like, "Yo, like I've actually like been on one online date in my life, but I kind of sometimes browse or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, so just swipe to see what's going on, what's the new, but one time this guy, apparently we had matched like a few times and then it just got deleted because I never actually like talked with him. And he was like, "Yo, we've met like 10 times and over the last 3 years and we've matched like 4 times. Like you don't." I was like, "So what's your name or what's your deal?" And he's like, I've like reached out to you like numerous times, like this is bad." And I was like, "Okay, gotta go."
Oh,
Bye.
I mean, what do you do, right?
No, and I feel kind of good. And then I'm like, you know what? Whatever. It's okay. Like you can't always remember someone with, meeting them in within like one time or two. Apparently this guy 10 times is what he said, but I don't even think that was true. I think he was trying to make me feel a little funky, but I don't
But also, like, you're
know.
human, and I think that's, like, just the general. I think everyone forgets that, everyone listening, like, we put you athletes on this pedestal because we see in a good year the 6 best minutes of your life. And that could
That's
be
so
3
true.
different films. Like,
Yeah,
could be.
totally.
I mean, call it 10 minutes. That's a lot of clips. And we
Yeah.
see that. We see that 6 to 10 minutes, which is
Totally.
arguably the greatest 6 to 10 minutes of your year.
Yeah, and sometimes, depending on the year of your entire life. Like in my like this year filming, I feel like I skied the best that I've ever skied in my life. And so maybe there's a roundup of, 4 minutes of the best skiing I've ever done. And yeah, so sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's scary to go to the resort and be like skiing under the lift. And I'm kind of like right now I'm recovering from ankle surgery. And so I'm skiing really mellow in a pair of touring boots and touring skis with kingpins. And I'm used to having like like Del Bello DRS 130 Flex race boots and like just killer groomer skis. And I'm just making dad turns, like taking it easy early season. And I have to really make sure in my head that I'm not like performing for anyone else besides just feeling my body because I get like, oh, someone saw me on social media ripping these turns. Like, I need to do that under the lift too at this exact moment every single day. Like, I don't. I need to be able to. I need to take care of myself. Number one, like first. So that's pressure a little. I'm like,
But also no
uh,
one skis like that every day of every like, it's just
I
not
don't
you
know.
guys
Have you ever met my friend Jim Ryan? He skis like that almost every single day. The dude's impressive.
he's he's like an asterisk though. Like he is one of
He's
a
a freak of
million.
nature, dude.
He's gonna be
He'll
like
make
he
you
is
do
the
this.
next household name. He really is. Like he's just everyone's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh yeah, he's it's Jim." Like everyone is just
Yeah.
gonna be but no, for real, like you don't I don't go out and like I mean, I never do unless something goes horrible that my hip like hits the snow in a turn. But like no one goes out and just skis like that for hours. Like, am I wrong in this? Like
In Jackson, it feels like a lot of pressure sometimes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, you are right. It's when you have to know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. And I think a lot of professional skiers sometimes like save like huge hucks or like save it for like their film part of the season, which tends to be, I think, in February and March, and or like they're going to Alaska and they're like, you're essentially trying not to get injured until you go do these films and perform at your highest level because that's what your job is to perform for movies or films. And so, the rest of the season they're maybe taking it more mellow, and but like sometimes I get just excited and then I like hit these like pretty big cliffs and my friends are like, "What are you doing? This is so early. Like, why are you throwing this sketchy backflip that you don't know how to do? Like, just chill out for a second," And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's fun."
I mean, I think that's my favorite part of your clips in general is that you just seem to be having fun. A lot of clips I watch, I'm like, that person rips. They're great. But are they having fun? And like you, whether it's an act or not, you don't have to answer that. It doesn't matter. But like, it's always like when they cut to the bottom 4 skiers, it's always like you with the smiling face giving the high five. And that's like a common denominator in all of your videos.
Mhm.
And like, sure, there's a script, but it's not always some of those are actual natural moments. And you just always seem to be hyped. Does this hold true all the time? Like, you have to have a bad attitude at some point, or are you just
Totally.
bubbly, happy, jolly Madison?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's a great question. I definitely have hard times for sure. I think well, let's start with the happy times. Like I said, I'm extroverted. When someone is having fun, like it is so contagious, and a lot of times, I mean, I actually tested this theory the other day twice. I've skied. I know this is the beginning of the season, but I went on a ski tour by myself, two of them. One of them I skied up Snow King, which is like right out my backyard, and the groomer had just perfectly groomed, like right as I was like skinning up the mountain, and so I got a freshy corduroy on the way down. As I'm skiing down, a full smile comes to my face. I'm like, this is so sick right now. Like, I'm like, this feels so good. And so a smile was brought to my face, and I'm like, woo. And I let out a little like woo. So I was like, all right, it's not just the people. The skiing definitely makes me happy. Moving my body always makes me feel excited. tiring myself. I like tiring myself out. I like pushing myself. But then you have to add in like your friends that are also getting super stoked because they're performing and well and skiing. And that's so contagious. And so I would say a lot of times when I'm skiing and with my friends, I have a generally positive, happy, giddy kind of excitement for skiing, no matter the conditions. I mean, it could be I like skiing in all different sorts of conditions. But on the opposite end of that, like batitude, you said, I've never even heard that word, but that's pretty cool.
That's a coin
Um,
flip. It's
all
what
of
it
my
adds
close,
attitude. Batitude.
yeah, attitude, batitude. I mean, yeah, I think all of my close friends, I feel really lucky. I have a killer support system here in Jackson and in life. You know, I just like everyone else can probably relate. Like you go through these ups and downs all the time. And sometimes when I kind of force myself to be alone and really like sit with emotions and sit with feelings because I want to be curious about them and instead of running away from them, which I think I did for a lot of my life, and just only chased happiness and always chased the next thing, the next upper. I have been the last few years, and especially in the last year, and then with injury, I have been accepting sadness when it happens or a bad attitude or like having a hard time. Like those are really real emotions. And the more I'm allowing myself to feel that kind of like negativeness that those voices is and really just feeling and like listening to it, the more depth I feel like has been created in my life and the more sustained kind of, I want to say happiness, but more, maybe more contentment, the more like level that contentment has been, and the more I can like not go so low or um, yeah, I know I can find my way out a little bit easier knowing that like it's gonna get better. But yeah, I mean, I circle. It's day to day,
Yeah, I
just
mean,
like
for
everyone.
everyone, and I love that you said content or contentment because I think the word content has this horrible, like, narrative, and I don't think it is. I think it's okay to be content, and obviously that can be defined in billions of ways, but, like, there are times
Yeah.
in your life where you're just like, "Okay, I can't push, I don't need to, I need to be content for a minute, not forever,
Mhm.
and then when I'm in a space, I will push or I will," versus like if you're not content, you might let where you are bring you down completely. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, no, hold fast. I'm good.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Move forward.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great way to put it.
And I think I don't know. It is neat that and like I met you once, like in IRL in real life. It's like you're a fucking ball of sunshine and you're on display and like it's part of I don't want to say it's part of your act, but like you're on. You have to be on in those moments. But I think the opposite of that is just being, headphones on, music, having time for yourself to like focus so you can dedicate everything else to other people when you're in public.
Totally. Yeah, totally. I mean, a good example of that is like when you're skiing, let's say you're skiing at the resort, I think about like, what am I thinking about when I'm skiing at the resort? Like, if I'm under the lift, am I thinking about these people watching me or am I thinking about like me skiing? And then similar with like other activities in your life. When you're walking down the road, are you thinking about your step? Or are you thinking about all these people looking at you? Are you thinking when you're dancing, are you thinking about being in your body or are you thinking about what other people, maybe their judgments or whatever? And so I'm, there's some things in life that I feel like I'm so present and I'm like, that is so sick. Like I do a lot of yoga, do a lot of meditation. Um, and I do a lot of dancing and I find myself like, wow, I'm really present. And then obviously skiing as well. But there's certain kinds of skiing. And so sometimes if I get out of my head or like if I kind of start thinking about what people think of me, then I'm out of my body and then I can't perform. You're not performing at your best. And you're just not focused. And I think that flow really comes when you're absolutely present with your mind and body and then like everything kind of slows and you're not distracted and that's kind of hard. I am a distracted kid and I've always been a distracted kid. I'm like, ooh, shiny, ooh, squirrel, like, oh, what it's over there, like, and I'm trying my best. I think I've gotten a lot better at, yeah, calming a bit and being okay, being, present. And I love that. It's a great feeling.
I think it's really hard. I am not in your position, but I have many opportunities in the ski world. And it's hard not to go to the next shiny thing. And it's hard not to be like, like you probably just got all you got all your skis, you got your full quiver. And then like you see the 24, 25, and that's like 2 years, but you see it and you're like, I want that. And you're like, just chill, like be happy with what you have. And like, it is hard just being
Yeah.
present. And my friends are like, the people who don't get it, because they're like, it's all free. And you're like, no, this is what I do. This is my job.
Right.
It's just part of it.
Right.
And like, again, my situation is different than yours, but it's very hard to not go to the next shiny thing, quote unquote. It's very hard to just be present.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? How do you deal with it? What's the answer?
Um,
If you had to tell one person how to be present.
oh God, dude. I don't know if there's one, I don't think there's one answer, in my opinion. I think it's kind of probably unique and different for everyone and how to like cultivate presence. I found that some useful techniques or ways that I've been able to be more present is like getting rid of social media or like putting my phone away for periods of time. Um, I think that's really helpful. The one of the bigger things I guess I do every day is I journal like 3 pages in my notebook every single day.
3 pages?
And yeah, yeah.
That's a
Which
lot.
seems like a lot. Yeah, it seems like a lot. And sometimes when I'm traveling, like I don't get to it, but I really, really try to stick to it. I read this workbook. It's called The Artist's Way, and it essentially is a workbook and book about like refining this creativity, this inner creativity and inner child that's always been in you, but you've kind of lost from society's pressure. And just from different learning habits and growing up. And so I read this book and it really changed it while I was injured, and it really changed the way I looked at a lot of things. And I ended up like I couldn't move my body, and so I was needing an outlet. And I ended up writing a lot of music. I play the ukulele and sing and love playing music with my friends, and but I ended up writing a lot of music, and it was this really cool process. But the way I was able to write the music was because the journal entries, this book challenges you to write 3 pages a day. And essentially, there's so much activity in our brain. If you really sit down and like start listening to like all the different shit that's going on in your brain, there's a lot going on. And so the pages, you could write blah, blah, blah the whole time. But really, you're just trying to get rid of and download and kind of dump all this maybe anxiety evoking self talk or like stuff that's stressing you out or like what you're going to do for the day or what happened yesterday. Like all this stuff that's like kind of just like going in your brain. You're getting that on paper, kind of like you're talking to a therapist. You're putting it on paper, and then it opens up this room for new information and creativity to kind of come in, but you kind of have to like put the other stuff on paper before that. It's kind of like you just have to make room for it. You just have to be ready to accept like what the universe is trying to give you, because there's a lot out there. And but you won't but maybe it's hard to find if you're not giving yourself the time or energy or space to
And
listen.
you think it worked or works?
Yeah, I think it works really well. I think it's hard.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
Three
hard to
pages
want, it's hard to just like write anything at this point.
Yeah, I think especially with technology these days, we do a lot on our phones. I'm a very hand you should see my table right now. It has like all of my I'm taking an Avalanche Pro level 1 Pro 1 course, and I have everything like printed out. Like I'm a very handwritten kind of person, and I like it. I learn better visually and with hands and hands-on stuff. So I think it's super powerful to actually write it. And the more technology we have with computers and iPads and phones and tablets and all this stuff, like it gets us away from like just sitting down and writing in a journal. But like I have so many moleskins, just I take them everywhere I go.
I keep saying I'm gonna do that because I do that for the podcasts. Like I'm on my phone right now because I just
Mhm.
have notes and I just write notes and like some of them are ridiculous. Like I just write things down. Like this question is not, you don't have to answer, but where's the worst smelling place you've been? Like I just write notes that like if I get lost, I can just like like but
Yeah. I
that's
got
just how
you.
my brain works. But I'm like, I should start carrying. I'm a field notes guy because I like the field notes, but I should start carrying one and just have like that's all the greatest comedians. They just always had a book. They just always had a
Yeah.
notebook in their pocket and they just write down. And I don't think the phone gives you that same sensation.
Yeah, it, like, spell checks it for you and stuff, and it, like, screws around with it. There's something about I think there's something and maybe this is wrong, but I bet you there's something to do with how your brain to hand to pen to paper, like, that physical act, I think is there's gotta be something there. I don't know what it is, but
Oh,
there has you
definitely.
know?
Like, I mean, writing is an art. Like, if
Yeah.
we take it for granted because, but like, I worked, I used to do a lot of events and event management, and I helped out some friends last month to New York City Marathon, and we hired 3 calligraphers to like write the person's name and time for the marathon. And it was so neat to see like
Yeah.
like I that's a dying thing, right? Calligraphy. And they're like, "Oh, we're so big." And they're in New York City, so there's just 1,000 hipsters who are like hiring calligraphers for their weddings, which is
Yeah.
amazing. But I was like, "This is so cool to see." And the 3 of them, they all wrote the same word and same time. And to see how each one was different, I was like, "Oh, it's literally like a dying art, like writing." My
Oh, yeah.
13-year-old niece can't write cursive. Not because she does like, she's just never been taught cursive. Like, it's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That is pretty wild. I definitely had to take cursive, and my teachers thought I was really bad at it, I remember, but that is a cool art to be able to do. Yeah. It's writing is I think that's really I always liked writing, but um with this injury, it really and then reading that artist way, it really changed a lot in my life in a positive way, realizing that like I didn't always have to just um do things constantly, move my body constantly. I could be in this more like feminine energy, because you kind of have yin and yang, and you have this like feminine being, and then you have this like doing, which is kind of masculine. And I with the injury, I really learned, like, it was a slap in the face. It was like, okay, like, you need to just sit still. And I was like, come on, like, I've sat still for 2 days. And they're like, nope, this is a major surgery, like, you got to sit still a bit, quite a lot, quite a bit longer than that. And I was like, this sucks. So I had to really pivot and figure out how to use other parts of my body and brain that was helpful for me. And yeah, and writing was a big part of it, and which ended up and music is a huge part of it too. So like I love music, I love writing, and so it was this cool like combination of the two. And yeah, we'll see where it goes, but it's been really kind of a beautiful thing that has started to grow.
It's probably one of those injuries, and like I'm speculating heavy here, but that in like 8 years, you will be like, "That is the best thing that ever happened to me." 'Cause you're young. Yeah, but you're young. So like it forced you to slow down where you weren't ready
Oh
to
yeah.
slow down. And the timing seems pretty good, honestly, because
Yeah.
I think you'll be back for this season and pretty at a good percentage, maybe not 100, but you'll be there. But, like, it forces you to slow down and work on your mental fitness, for lack of a better term, but it is a thing, like, it's a thing.
No, you're so right, you're so right. I
I think it's
mean,
gonna be one of those things. In 8 years, we'll do this again,
oh, I
and
love it. Okay, check in.
yeah, we'll probably be sooner than 8 years if we're being honest, but you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
one of
but
those things that you're
I'm
like,
for
"Oh,
you.
shit, this is, like, what I needed."
I think it is. I think already kind of know that in the back of my head. And sometimes I reject it a little bit because once I get tastes again of like, ooh, skiing, ooh, charging, ooh, feeling like I need to be active, like I forget about this. Whether it's like I forget about writing as much, or I forget about music as much, or I put off these other like mental things that I could be doing. But I was so involved doing the mental side of things when I was injured that it was all I could do. And so I think I go all in on everything. I'm like 120% I'm there. Let's do it. And so when I started moving my body again, you lose a little bit of it. But what I've tried to maintain, and I think I do a pretty good job, is as I continue to write, like as much as I can. And I don't even go back and like look through it. I don't think you have to. Like it's just downloading and putting down this stuff that you don't need to just keep on carrying in your brain because that just creates anxiety, in my opinion. But
So
for
how do
me,
you yeah, no, there is no I love saying like one word and like tell everyone how to do this. It's like, no, no, no. This is what works for me. Like this might not
right,
work for
it's
you. This
different.
might not. That's fine. How do you, and maybe you don't manage, maybe you do manage burnout? Again, you're a young buck. You should just be like, head down. I got this. But that's not always the reality, I don't think. And how many films did you do this year? Are we calling it two? Are we calling it
Yeah. I was in Warren Miller so yeah, that came out this fall. I was in this film called Beautiful Sen, which is a vocal film with Legs of Steel. They're based in Austria. And yeah, so those are the two films that I did and worked on last season and was in this fall, this year. And then, yeah, those are the two.
but those both had tours behind them, correct? Is where I'm getting at.
Yeah, those did. Well, mostly Warren Miller. The Beautiful Send, Jimmy Ryan, my teammate, and I really wanted to go to Austria to be at the premiere. So they did do a movie night with a premiere with other amazing films as well that Legs of Steel had worked on and produced. And so we had such a blast with that crew that we were like, we have to go back. Like Innsbruck is a really cool place, number one. And also we just wanted to reconnect with the crew because it was such a blast to work with them. So yeah, we did go out to Austria, to Innsbruck and go to the movie there. But mostly I was on tour for Warren Miller. And then my film that I made 2 seasons ago made it into Banff Film Festival. So I went up with the filmer, the cinematographer, Islam Mott, and we went up to Banff for that for quite a few days. So I was on tour for a little while for yeah, it felt like 2 months. I got to go home 1 week. That was nice.
I've done a lot of tours, not film tours. I've toured with bands selling merch. I've
That's
shot
sick.
photographs for bands. I've I worked a color run for 3 years,
What?
like
I didn't know
full
this.
tour. Yeah, I've been all over the world for just nothing cool that I've ever done. Just like, but life on the
I mean,
road,
it sounds pretty.
it sounds cool on paper. Life on the road is like brutal. And then you're an athlete. We've talked about all that. I want to talk about going to a Warren. First, you get into Warren Miller. That's like that call is cool. No one
It's
like,
a
and
very
you've
it's the
talked about this
best.
in other podcasts, but like that's cool, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm a little mad at Warren Miller because they sued Warren Miller, but like it's still cool. Like,
I mean, I think it's always Warren Miller is it's such a cool thing because it's been going on for so long and to be able to carry on with it and be a part of it feels really special. And it's really it's really family oriented and it's very inclusive and I really appreciate that side of yeah, I really appreciate that side of the film industry. I think it always has been too. It seems like they've for a long time now have been really making sure that they're having a lot of like inclusivity within the film, and so I appreciate that. I also love the vibe because I grew up watching those movies, and I was that young skier that was like, oh my god, I want to go do that, and so it's I like being a part of it. I really do.
yeah, I think again, I'm an old guy, so I like had when I was
You're not
growing
so old.
up, the Warren Miller was kind of like it was the family films, which is sick. And like and I appreciate it more now, but like we had like the grungier, like we had the level 1 films dropping and those were all like new school
Right.
skiing and it was like but what Warren
Totally.
Miller's always done is like one they always have a snowboarder in there in some way shape or form, which I've
Oh,
always
there's a
loved.
lot this year.
Right. but, like, I've never understood why we can't, like, marry everybody, even with telemark skiing, and I hate on telemark skiing on the internet, and everyone's mad about me about it, whatever. I love telemark skiing. I'm a telemark skier. For everyone calling me out that I can't telemark ski, I suck at everything, and I'm probably better than you at telemark skiing. So let's lay that out right now. But I'm like, why aren't we having telemark skiers in films? Why aren't we putting snowboarders in films? Like it's all I'm a skier through and through, and when my friends snowboard and they do something cool, I'm like, "Whoa, that like"
Yeah,
it's
no,
always weird
I
that it's
totally agree.
so and Warren's always done a good job of, like, bringing that in, and then bringing in, like, all-stars like
Adaptive
yourself,
sports.
and then adaptive sports who are insane, like, are you kidding
More
me? It
yeah, this that stuff, it really is so impressive to me. It really is. Um,
it's such a
yeah,
neat thing, and
incredible.
I love that they brought the tours back. I haven't even seen Daymaker yet because 'cause I'm not paying for Outside Plus, I'm sorry, and, I didn't make it to a premiere. But, like, the fact that they're doing premieres and they're, like, bringing in athletes is so means so much more than I think anyone's giving them credit for,
Yeah.
because it costs them a lot of money to do it, and
Mhm.
thankfully we have big sponsors, but, like, putting you guys up and having you travel and show face at these films is so important to ski community, and there's gonna be a 10-year-old girl who's watching your segment who was you X years ago and is like, "Yo, that's gonna be me."
I mean, that is my dream would be a dream come true, and I think that's all I could ever hope and wish for, right? Like, I've been I spent a lot of time for this tour on the East Coast. I was there for 2 weeks, and I went to quite a few shows. I don't even know how many I went to, over 6 or 7 or something like that, or 8 maybe, and or maybe it was more. I couldn't even tell
A
you how
lot.
many I went to, but I really wanted to give the East Coast some love because I don't think they see a lot of athletes out there that come through, but like Boulder and Denver and Utah and Wyoming and they all, there's so many films that are happening and they're all premiere there. And so to be able to go out there and see these kids, no joke, that are like skiing on their small mountain, which is what I grew up skiing, a very small mountain in Michigan. Like to be able to do that felt really good. It felt really good because I want kids or young women to know that like or young men doesn't matter to know that like they can just chase their dreams and whatever they set their mind to they can do and like I was that kid that what grew up on a very small hill and this journey that I've been on has been like a wild journey and been ski racing and I went to college and these things but like now I'm in a place where I can talk about it like on a podcast like that's pretty cool. I didn't know that I was going to be here but I really think that um showing kids and or showing people that like they can do whatever they set their mind to is so important. um and it's especially like I think it's especially valuable to like young women maybe and at a certain age because I really struggled as a kid. I felt like I didn't fit in and I felt like I was really different and I was highly competitive and pretty boyish and very just like sports was all that mattered. I like always identified as an athlete. I think probably because I was like very ADHD and super hyper. My parents were like, get her in every sport ever. And which I've talked about in numerous podcasts at this point, where I'm like, my parents were like, she's a handful. So I've always identified as an athlete, but like I had some really special moments on this tour where like I connected with these young women and like their dads, which was really funny too, just being like texting me on Instagram being like, "Thanks so much." Like I had a lot of texts after the tour of like dads that were like, "Thank you so much like our daughter, Jill or whatever had such a amazing time meeting you, like thanks for taking extra time to chat with her." And that like warm like saying that just warms my heart because I think that women have it's hard. Childhood is hard, you learn your mind is so malleable and everything that's happening in your life like it just is it's a lot. And so I don't know. I just want to be there for the young women coming up and try to be a positive role model. But it's also hard because I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes and I have a lot of flaws. And I hope that By being trying to be authentic and open and vulnerable, I can show that like social media kind of portrays this like highlight thing that we were saying, this highlight reel or this 6 minutes of the best of who you are. And those smiles are real, but there's also a lot of tears. Like if you know me well, you know that I cry a lot. And showing vulnerability is something that I've been working on and I think is really important because I think it opens the door for other people to show vulnerability and be able to accept that about themselves. And so it took me a long time to figure that out and my goal is to show that like you can be vulnerable and you can still be strong at the same time because I think vulnerability is the ultimate strength.
Oh, I love that. I really do. I think you nailed it. And to touch on the East Coast, I'm an East Coast kid. Um, things like Snowbound don't happen here. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like flex on Snowbound, like, but like Conrad Anchor isn't coming to speak anywhere on the East Coast
Yeah,
for
that was sick.
Murnovator is not coming. Kelly Clark's not coming. And like Kelly Clark was like, someone asked her a question. She's like, "Oh, I crashed and then I went behind the wall and I cried for 2 minutes. I had like a hard cry. And then I went out
Yeah.
there and I did what I knew how to do." And it was like, fuck yeah. Like
Yeah.
my East Coast thing and it's showing up. And I love that the East Coast shows up. So I think
Very much so.
marketing departments are starting to figure out that the East Coast shows up because we don't get these things. There's a reason the World Cup is at Killington, and it's not because the snow is good in November. It's because 21,000 people fucking show up to watch people ride on shit snow and cheer for their hometown favorites. Like
Yeah,
that,
it's sick.
you do that in I'm not a big racer person, but like where's the one out west? They don't have a great
The birds
attendance.
of prey. I mean, yeah, it's like the men's is birds of prey. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're so right. And it's the local thing, but it's also like East Coast shows up. Like
we show up.
they're there.
We have
They're
nothing else to
strong.
do.
You have, yeah, dude. And also, it's like I say this probably a million times, but it's actually like I said this when I was on Warren Miller tour because I felt so appreciative for the East Coast because the stoke and the energy out there is pretty much uncomparable. When you're out west, people get kind of soft. I even find myself getting kind of soft, like, oh, it could be a good day to go skiing, but like, it's not the best. And then people in the east, it could be like sleeting and like -20, and they're like, buckle up, guys,
Yeah,
put
I don't
on
know
your
if you can
extra
see behind
socks.
me. See, like, the brown? I'm
Yeah.
going skiing after this. Like,
Yeah. Yep,
it's
exactly. I
this
mean,
is
here
what
we
we
go. It's
do.
like
Opening day was Friday, 34, raining sideways. It's like, "Perfect, let's do it." Like, "Here we
let's do
go."
it.
And
It's like die hard skiing. I love it.
it's the worst. I wish I hated it, but I love it. So that's just
I
me.
know.
This is
And
what's
it
you're
makes
like
you tough,
hardened.
you know?
We're diamonds because
Exactly.
we're polished. Now the East Coast is I don't know, it's something. We've been talking for a while, so I wanna get through some stuff. Beautiful
Okay.
said, holy fuck. I don't love vocal skis because they're fucking good and I'm not. But
Oh
you
my
guys
god,
made me
dude.
wanna ski vocals, like, holy shit.
I mean,
I sent
yeah.
that video, no lie, to 15 people this week, and
Wow.
I'll let you talk
Thank
about it
you.
before I'm done patting it. But, like, one, ski films that make watchers, like consumers, feel like, "Oh, I can do that with my friends." What a concept. Like, I can't make those turns, but, like, I can pretend to. So,
And
that
yeah,
is
you can visualize it.
the video's rad, and, like, hats off to Vocal for putting together people who are humans and not 75 years old to actually ski on these skis that are good. Like, I've worked in a ski shop for fucking ever, and, like, the same guy who comes in and buys the Mantra, I'm like, "Ugh," and the Kenja, I'm like, "Ugh," and then I see you guys out there, and I'm like, "Oh, yes." So,
Yeah.
tip of the
I
hat
mean,
to
no.
Vocal. Let's talk about that. How I know you've talked about this on other podcasts, so we don't have to go too deep, but, like, you almost killed a filmer, so that's cool. I
Yeah.
dig that.
Yeah.
Did everyone get
That's
hurt
actually
while
happened
filming?
quite a bit. What?
Did everyone get hurt while filming?
Yeah, everyone got hurt. So, yeah, Beautiful Sin was, like, one of the like, maybe the sickest project I've ever worked on ever. I know you don't like vocal skis, but dude,
I mean that
my
with my heart.
I I mean this with my heart. This is the best equipment I have ever been on in my life. Like I feel like these skis and the quiver that I have is an extension of my like body. And I think that's the way it should feel. And to have like yeah, it's they're incredible. They're incredible like pieces of equipment and we trust it with our life. And so the project was so fun to work on. It was a total blast. But I mean, what was your question? I even forgot
I
what
don't
you were
know.
saying. I'm all caught
I
up because I love vocal.
no, no, no. I don't not like Vocal skis. Their skis are amazing. Every time I ski them, I'm like, "Fuck, these are good." Like, I wanna
They
be mad, but they rip. Like, I don't have the skill set to like, some people this is my favorite line when I used to work, like, demos. People be like, "I don't know, these aren't that great," and they're, like, handing me back, like, a mantra,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Well, some people don't have the software to run the hardware." That's this case. Like, this
That's
thing
a
doesn't suck.
really good
This
point.
thing is
No.
good.
Yeah, I mean, it also takes like a certain kind of skier to ski a mantra or like a Kenja or Kendo or Secret. You know, I mean that ski
It's
is stiff
real,
and it's aggressive and it's a real freaking ski and you're
and it's
yeah,
fast.
racers I think they like it. I think they like it, but it's very it was really cool to put all of us on different pairs of, you know, on different skis. So like Anne, the other female in Beautiful Send, was on like a Deacon Master, which is like she was on the most narrow ski. And that one is like, I mean, very close to like, yeah, it'd be like a master's race ski.
Right.
And she is
Like
like the
72
most, I
underfoot.
mean, her turn, dude, is absolutely the nastiest turn. I mean, the boys will agree she makes the nastiest turn out of the four of us.
Well,
It
yeah, it's
really
a
does.
trench. What are you skiing on?
I'm skiing on
Yeah.
the Kenja 88s.
So that's like
So
but
like,
that's what I mean. That is 88 underfoot, and it is a rocket ship. Like, I am not
yeah,
shitting on Vocal other than, like, I hate Vocal because it's too real and I can't ski it. Like, you have to be on. You have to be a good skier to ski Vocals, and the people that are like, "Vocals suck," you're wrong, 1.
I've
2,
never
and
even heard that, man.
this isn't an well, people say it.
I
This isn't
block
an
it out.
advertisement for Vocal, but, like, you can't ski it. They're real. They're real skis all the way up the line. Usually when you get, like, 88, 102, whatever, they're just like noodles, and these are
Yeah,
not. They are
yeah. I'm
insane,
really psyched.
and everyone stop with their pause this, don't pause this, but go watch Beauty Send. Beauty Send?
Beautiful
Beauty
send.
Full Send?
Beautiful send.
Full Send, 'cause it's insane. It's but the coolest thing about that whole thing, besides, like, the Legs of Steel people did an amazing job with the cinematography, like, it makes me feel like I am out skiing with 4 of my friends because in our heads, that's what we think we're doing, and that's why skiing is so cool.
That is such a compliment. I feel like that's the best compliment that I could ever receive from that, but also the Legs of Steel crew and I think the other athletes and Vocal will feel very appreciative of that because I think that's also the goal, right? Like we want to show like piste skiing is the most approachable kind of skiing. Like it takes a lot more to like go into the backcountry or go heli skiing or go cat skiing. Like that's a huge like you have to have like money and so many resources and nowhere to go, you know, all this stuff. And to be able to go ski at a T-bar with your homies, like we were skiing under a T-bar
Right, but that's
and
what I mean.
you're spreading, right,
So
you're spreading with your
so
friends, you know.
what's the soundtrack?
Locomotive Breath,
Oh,
Jethro
yeah,
Tull.
that's what it is. I'm like, I know what it was, but I couldn't remember. But no, and I think the ski choices were all spot on. It was smart marketing. It was the right pick of skiers. It's just a great film. Like, I'm not and it's 5 minutes, which is like my
Yeah.
attention
Bite
span.
size, baby.
Yeah, but that's it. That I don't know. I really loved it. I don't hate Vocal
Thank you.
skis. They're just a lot of skis, and I suck at skiing. So that's where I'm at. I want to talk about Fuel because it's good. One, we have a mutual friend is
Yeah,
the
go
whole
is.
project. So how did this come about? Let's talk about it. Maybe you've talked about it. I don't care anymore. We'll talk about it again.
Okay. Yeah, it was it feels funny too to like talk about it now, it feels like it's been a little bit since we had like initially started the project, which was like 4 years ago, thinking like, okay, we're gonna do a ski film together. And Iz and I had met, we became really close friends. We enjoyed shooting photos together up at Alta. It was when I was living in Salt Lake. And it started kind of, it was a slow moving process. We had a COVID year in the first year, so we couldn't really film anything. We couldn't do what we wanted to do. So we're like, all right, next season. And like at this point, I'm very early in my career. Iz is super early in her career, and we are like, well, this maybe we can prove ourselves. Like we're gonna make a movie. And I remember thinking to myself, like I hadn't seen many I had high expectations, I think, because but we I had expectations because I visualize things that like I want to see, and I think I'm very like I think of the videography and like what it could be, and so I like kind of set us up. I'm thinking to myself now, looking back, like wow, I really had high expectations. And I think, you know what? I thought we did pretty freaking good compared to my expectations of what two women could really like. Most of it was done with us. We had so much help from like, yeah, like a lot of amazing people in the Wasatch area and the Alta area, and we had sponsors. But like for the most part, to be honest with you, like it was low budget. Like it was Iz and I out a lot during the season. It was me traveling from because I had moved to Jackson. I had to like there's a storm coming to the Wasatch. I would drive to Salt Lake 4.5 hours, and then like wake up at 5 the next morning, go up, shoot with this. Some days were just bad. Some days it worked out. COVID was still a thing. We were struggling with that. Is has, and I don't even know, I'm not going to talk about Iz's health things, but she definitely had to be really careful about COVID because of like her work and what she deals with health wise. And so I had to like wear a mask around Iz some of the time. I'm like just now remembering this because it's been a little bit. But I wanted to be respectful of that. But that was definitely another challenge. On top of that, it was like two of us. So I bought a drone and was like, I'm gonna be a drone pilot. And I like lost my drone a couple times. Like I tried to like fly my drone up, didn't know how to use it. Like flew it up, and then I'd be like, "All right, it is, I'm ready." And I'm like on the top of this line, and then like I start skiing, and like the remote control of the drone in my backpack, like I didn't know how to use it. It like moves, and like the drone just like crashes, and I lose my drone, and like is gets doesn't even like she misses the shot, and we're like, God dang it, like we are working just the two of us quite a bit on this. And so the filming process was like the biggest learning experience. On top of that, my trend of like almost killing for videographers, like I think the last day we shot video for Fuel, I was skiing bumps on straight skis down High Boy up at Alta, and I was kind of just buzzing that whole day, and I felt kind of spazzy, and I like fell. I was kind of going like Mach Schnell down this thing, and like was skiing at Is and was trying to get kind of close to her to get like the snow to go up. And I like full on hit her, snapped her tripod in half, and I gave her a concussion. And ended up feeling like so bad. And she was like actually hurt. And like we can laugh about it now, but like I struggled last season with two major concussions back to back, and it kind of screwed me up. Like I had to deal a lot with like mental health, a lot of mental health stuff, and a lot of like concussion stuff. Anyways, I kind of went on a tangent, but pretty much it was a huge learning experience to have the two of us as two young females in the industry make a film and then have this like lofty goal. It seemed really lofty at the time to like make it into a film festival. And the one that we submitted to is Mountain Film and Banff Film, and these are like kind of like legit film festivals. And we got the call for Mountain Film, and his calls me crying, and I'm like, what's wrong, what's wrong? She's like, we made it in. And I was like, oh my God. And I just was so proud. Like at this point, it was far a little further removed. We had a premiere, like we had already had a premiere, so which was a huge turnout. And I was kind of like, all right, sweet. But then when it made it into the film festivals, like I think that was a really big step for Iz and I, and especially Iz. I couldn't be more stoked that she's just on this like beautiful journey of discovering her like brand and her and what she's doing and herself. And it was really special to do that with her. And now I feel moving forward, it's almost like this was the long, I don't know what to call it. I've been struggling with what to call it, but it feels like we did it and it's like sick. Now I want to do it again and this is what I learned. It's like a platform, I'm like, sweet. We know what we did with this with our
Fuel is
resources.
like the proof of concept. Like, I think we can
It's
do
like a
this.
proof exactly. Yeah,
I think we can do
exactly, a
this. We
proof.
did it. People cared, which is always, like, even cooler.
Which is even cooler. Who knew?
And then you're like, "Holy shit, we
Mm,
can do this." And then I mean, again, I'm just gonna pad your ego. You're gonna leave this and be like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." But you have some lines in there, and you actually say peace and contentment with who you are, which we talked about that earlier. But you talk about slow
mhm,
down, listen to yourself, listen to your heart, remember that your story is your story. And you also say, just be me, just be who you wanna be. And, like,
mhm.
that was 3, 4 years ago. 2 years, 3
Yeah,
years ago. So it's neat to hear that in this fuel and then hear everything you just said 25 minutes ago. And, like, these are notes that I wrote 3 days ago. And, like,
yeah,
it's cool to see that it is a coming to life, a project, a personal project, and, like, it's very easy for us to maybe say these things when we're writing a script and filming a thing, but, like, it goes back to, like, we're human, and we do struggle
yeah,
with these things. So it's really
yeah.
neat to, like, see it all come full circle, and you sing at the end, which is, like, most people skip the credits, and that's super cool because it gives you a little piece of who you are.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And I
And
and I
Megan
mean,
McJames. Can we just talk about Megan
and
McJames for a
oh,
minute?
please, I would love to. And Anna Marno. Megan McJames and Anna are, like, I feel like they are the coolest, first off. They absolutely shred. We all raced together back in the day, but they were much older than I am. And when it comes to just positive role models in my life of people that like quick backstory on Megan McJames. When I was like 12 years old, she came to a race camp. When I lived in Michigan, I was in Copper Mountain, Colorado at a race camp. And she came to my race camp and because she was teammates with this girl named Lindy Genowiak, who was also on the US ski team with her. And Lindy's dad, Dan Genowiak, was my race coach in Michigan. So, like, it was quite the weird experience. So, anyways, Megan comes and like chats, and I was like obsessed with her. I thought she was the coolest. And I thought she had like the sweetest little voice ever. But also, like, watch that girl trench, dude. Like, she absolutely shreds. And then, full circle moment again, we end up racing like Noriam Cups together as I got older. And then we both were in Salt Lake going to Westminster. And Anna, similar thing. I didn't race as much with Anna, but I did for like maybe 1 or 2 seasons in like Noriams. She definitely kicked my ass. Like, these girls are like way better skiers racers than I was, but I looked up to them, admired them, and Anna ended up like one season when I was in college. She was coaching for Snowbird, and we would train at Snowbird, and she as like a female coach like spoke to me more than any of the male coaches could. Like, she gave me really good advice skiing, and I really cared about her opinion and what she thought. And her is like, yeah, technical, and they're just both like such technical and great skiers. So I
Also,
admire them a lot,
side
and I
note
wanted to include them.
Megan went to the, like, 2 or 3
Yeah.
Olympics without being on the US ski team because they were like, "You can't fucking sit with us," and she was like, "Oh, yeah?" And then still went. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Like, she
yeah,
got
they
mean girled,
literally said, "Oh yeah,
and she's still too nice to talk shit on him, which I'm mad
yep,
about. She should shit on them. Like, shame on
oh
whoever, I don't know who that is. That's a whole I had her on the show. She's phenomenal. But I was like, "Are you
yeah,
kidding me? Like, you went to how many?" I think it was 3, but maybe it was 2. But, like,
yeah,
unsupported. Like,
yeah, dude,
what?
she's super special." Like,
And
I kid you not, Adam. Like, those two women are like, when I think of people in my life that I think are like the most good-hearted, genuine. kindest people I know that just they also just happen to be like the best female skiers that can turn like the best turning like they're just the best. I couldn't those are them, and I feel really lucky to be able to ski beside them, you know. I couldn't be more stoked on that. So and I'm glad you asked that question too, because they were a part of the film, and the film is so short that they're only in it for like just it feels like a hot second, and I wish it could have been longer. But I wanted to include them because it felt like it was part of my story and a part of this like idea of community, and what I kind of aspire to be is like Anna and is like Megan. Like you meet those women, they don't something that I think is so admirable is when people just don't talk poorly about anyone. Like they show up with kindness. They are invested in you and curious about how your life is going, and they just never are talking ever badly about anyone. And I think that's really admirable. And
Oh, I wish.
there's
I
not
talk shit on everything. That's how I
really.
yeah, not in like a net it's just how I deal, like, even, like, my it's how I talk about myself, like,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
you're also Boston, the guy.
I'm not a I'm in Buffalo, New York. I got
Okay,
nothing to do
okay,
with
okay.
Boston. I'm so
Okay,
far from Boston.
okay,
Like,
sorry, but like you spend time in Boston, you know? Like I feel
well,
like when I
only
was
for
in Boston,
snowbound. You just happen to see me the one time I've been in the last time I was in Boston was the Fenway Big Air competition, and you were 12 years old. Like, that's the last time I was in Boston.
okay,
But no,
okay.
it's it's how I handle things, so I definitely
Yeah,
do it, but I'm like, "Oh, people probably think I'm negative," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm actually pretty positive, it's just how I cope." But when you meet those people who
yeah,
are
it's
just
special,
like you're like, "Fuck, I need
right?
some of that in my life."
Yeah, they're great. Overall, huge, huge win, and they're amazing. So
Their names did not go unnoticed in the credits, and I saw Digi Dave in there as a little cinematographer credit. Uh,
yeah, I think I'm trying to remember what it was that it we really tried to give a lot of people credit too. It was awesome to include as many people as we could in the credits, and I'm trying. I think you actually that's a funny reason why is was shooting this like do you want to know the story
yeah, I got time.
okay,
I got
because it's
time.
kind of funny.
If you think I'm creeping my phone, it's just because 'cause I'm looking at notes on where to go. I'm not, like,
You're
texting.
doing great. No, it's good.
I feel great,
She
thank you.
um is she's gonna laugh maybe if she hears this, but or maybe punch me in the face. Just kidding, she would never do that. Is was shooting on this perfect day in Rocky Point at Alta. It was the day that I hit A frame and B frame and C frame. We had a drone guy, Mike. He's the best. He's the bomb. We had Rocco. He was the best. He's the
Time out.
bomb.
Time out. Time out. Time out.
Yeah,
What is the zone called?
in Rocky Point.
Rocky Point, that's like you take a one chairlift up and then you kinda skirt over and then drop down and
Yep,
then skin back up and in?
yep, yep, exactly. So like side country Alta.
Yeah,
Super
it took me
accessible for
there. That's the
film.
only reason I know about that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, sick.
and
Okay.
Tui, right? Tui?
Yep, he's
Yeah.
the bomb.
'Kay, go on, sorry, I was just trying to place
The
I got
scene, set the scene here.
set the
So
scene.
yeah, so with the scene set up, everything's in position. I hit B frame first and land it, and I'm like, yeah, that was sick. And I like come down. I'm like, I'm just like drooling. I'm pumped, you know. And I talked to Mike, who's flying the drone. Mike Brown. He's part of Sweetcrest Productions. He was a huge player in the making of this film. He was an amazing resource as well as cinematographer. He is like he hits B frame and he's like I think he does it. Yeah, he like goes big on B frame, and Mike's like this tall guy. He's like this tall Sydney, and he's like, Mads, I'll film today, but I also want to like hit the jumps. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like, you got to do you. You got to freaking ski. Like, we're out here doing it, and it's a good snow day. It goes blue. Everything lines up, and I look and I feel the snow, and I'm like, oh my god, this is I need to hit A frame, and I'd hit it. I think one or two I had hit it different seasons, you know, I think 2 seasons back to back, but once was with Julian Carr, who like throws himself off of like ridiculous cliffs. And so the only other time I had done it was with him, and he was like, "Yeah, Mads, you got it. Let's go, Mads." And then Samo, who also is like, "Here we go, Mads. Like you got this." And like so I had these two guys that are like so good, and they both had helped me and like talked me into it the last 2 years. But this time it lines up and I'm there alone. I got nobody on the top of A-frame. And the whole thing with A-frame is it's like this cliff, but when you come up to it, you can't see, you like see just like a, almost like walking the plank, like skiing off of a plank and just like free falling. Like you come into it with some speed and then you just like fly off of it. Like you can't even see where you're going. And so it's quite intimidating. And I'm up there, I'm like, oh my God, I like hope I land this thing, like I'm up here alone. And I really had to like talk myself into it and be like, or just talk myself up. Like I knew I could do it, but I really have to tell myself, like, you can do it. And you should hear me on GoPro videos. I'm usually like yelling at myself, like, here we go, Mads, fire it up. And like I'm pretending that I'm somebody else trying to get me
Third
excited. Like,
person.
yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna ask if there was anything you said before you drop, like ready,
Oh yeah,
steady,
it's a
spaghetti.
little inappropriate, but I definitely get like jazzed up. I definitely yell at myself a little bit. And so I'm like, here we go, Mads. Don't be a wimp. And then I like send it and like go off this cliff, land it, stomp it, throw my hand in the air. I'm like, let's go. And I like get down. Is like probably crying. And like I go up to her and she's like, we made a movie. Cause it was kind of like we had done the whole season and stuff was, tiring, dude. And so we both looked at each other like half sobbing. I'm like, I can't even breathe. I'm stoked. And we're like, we made a movie. This is the best thing ever. Okay, we make this. We were like, that was the end, and it was like that was the best day ever. A couple of weeks go by. I like go film for Warren Miller that season. I like come back. I'm like, yo, is like, what's going on? It's kind of getting close to the end of the season, and she calls me and she's like crying again. And I'm like, what is this?
Let
And
it
like
out, girl.
yeah, totally. I have no judge. I cry all the time. So it's like kind of awesome that I get to be kind of the person that's like, it's okay. And she's like, Mads. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, I lost all my files on my SD card got fully erased. Like it got wiped clean. I have no footage at all from that entire day. And it was like the best day.
Fuck.
And I'm
Cool, cool,
like,
cool, cool, cool.
I was like, you know what I actually said? I didn't even say, I was like, yeah. I was like, all right, we'll just go do it again.
You're
And
better
so
than
it,
I.
and it would mean there's no, I think it's a lesson for life. You don't, nothing is the end of the world. There's always something, there's always a way to go if you just keep going. Like there's always, as long as you just keep going, it's okay. My friend Jim Ryan always says, keep it moving. And I think that's a great metaphor. Like it's his metaphor for life. And I love that because if you get stuck like being like, why did you do that? Or, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You're just living in the past. And I just was like, no problem. Like, like that's okay that we lost it. She's like, well, I think that maybe some of the guys that were also there filming, maybe they got something. So here we go. Digi Dave coming in clutch. He ended up was also in the similar location to Iz and actually just happened to videotape it for fun. And so we ended up getting that shot
That
from him.
guy,
So
dude.
yeah, he just like pops up out of nowhere. Like Digi, if you're hearing this right now, like you crack me up, number one. Also, just like thank you. Um,
Thank you for letting me live in your house for a week and ruining your Hulu algorithm, Digi. If you're
yeah,
listening.
it's awesome. So we lucked out because there was some footage that we were able to gather from, and we had a drone shot from it too. So it wasn't the end of the world, but it was a cool. I mean, again, like I told you, like this is one of the biggest learning experiences in terms of like filming ever. It was very special, and it's no use getting mad about something. It's like we can
No,
always go
only
back and do it.
solutions. Only solutions.
Yeah, only moving forward.
Keep moving forward. No, I love that. And I thought Fuel was great. And I think, I don't know, it's a pretty heavy film for you to put out. Like that kind of sets the tone for a lot of people as to who you are. Like you're not, especially then, you weren't a household name, right? Like you've definitely like blossomed in the last 2 years. And you kind of blew up, which is sick. But like
Thank you.
that is like, that's a project someone does 10 years from now. So
I'm pretty impatient.
no, but it's
one,
awesome. Like
one would say.
I think it's really cool. Like it's I mean, it's like this is who I am. Like right off
Thank
the
you.
bat. It's
I think when like the message of that film too with like acceptance and everything. I think when I had I'd gone through a lot of like transformation, and we're always going through transformation, but I feel like at 22 I really like woke up and was like, whoa, I just woke up, like I can really take a hold of my life. Like I can really stop. I don't need to always please other people. Like I can really take the reins here. And I had just done a lot of like self-reflecting. And so with this, like, this story of acceptance, but I just didn't want to feel, I think people try to box you in, like fence you in a little bit without even knowing it. Like they want, like, let's say you're a slope style skier. You're just going to be labeled a slope style skier. Or like you're a redhead. You're going to be labeled a redhead. Or people kind of want to keep you in this little, like, what they want to see from you on social media or what they want to see from you in a movie. Or people, like, they think I'm energetic and happy. Like that's what they want to see and that's what they expect. So I had this like whole realization where I was like, I gotta keep people on their toes, man.
I'm
And so
fucking
like,
sad, dude.
right, like I'm sad right now. Like, get used to it. Um, and but like, yeah, in reality, that's kind of what it's like. Like, I think I wanted to showcase in the film a variety of skiing that I just enjoy doing, like groomers, bumps, hitting cliffs, doing backcountry lines. Like, I love skiing at its core, and being able to do all those different kinds of skiing is so fun. And it feels like it really speaks true to me because it's really like wherever your friends are, is the best place to be skiing. But
I thought it was great. And I love you ski powder like a racer, and I like you attack it,
hmm
and I fucking love that. I gotta start. I'm like, I need to do that. I ski powder like a dad. Like I couldn't
that's okay.
my heels couldn't be like further back, and I'm just like I'm just like having the time of my life. But I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna attack some powder turns this year. And maybe it's because I'm on the East Coast, and if there is powder that
yeah,
like I don't have enough steepness to actually attack it. Like I think
yeah.
that's some of it. But I'm like, I'm gonna start attacking.
I think I had really positive role models that really showed me how to ski powder because I didn't really even know how to ski powder. But shooting photos and skiing powder, Kaylin Richardson, my who also is a Helly Hansen and vocal teammate, as well as Marcus Caston, are both like ex racers, and I grew up in the industry learning from them and like seeing the way that they shot photos and like skied for the camera and also just skied in general, and it was very aggressive, and so I really like that, and I think that's just how I learned. And it's really fun to like, I really have to thank them for a lot of like, style inspiration.
Can we expect a park segment dropping anytime soon?
Dude, I don't know. Sometimes there's a mini park here at Jackson, and I go and I like hit the jumps and practice 180s and 360s and stuff. I'm not good, but I definitely love doing it because it gets me out of my comfort zone. It's good for like practicing airs in general. But like, I watch these little kids and I'm so intimidated. They're like 8 years old or something, and they're like throwing double backflips off the park jumps. And I'm like, if I only could do that.
I
So
think
I don't know if you could expect a segment, but like I definitely spend some time in the park just for fun.
I think that would be a fun video. Like we'll pick, I don't know, we'll pick a slope style rider, and then you, and then like they'll take you into the park, and you like do it and show the progression. Then you go ride big things, and it's like, because again, I think
That'd
that's what makes ski films is like, oh, not everyone's good at this. Or like,
right,
you ever
right.
watched Alex Honnold ski? Like
Yeah,
the greatest
exactly.
climber on the planet Earth. He like can't like I can beat Alex Honnold in like skiing and maybe an arm wrestle, but I think he'll beat me in arm wrestling because he's jacked. But like it was so humbling to be like, oh, Alex Honnold, this superior athlete who just climbs walls with no ropes because he's an insane human being, can't
Yes.
can't like turn. Like that's what I want to see. Because now I'm like, oh, that guy's human, and now I respect when he climbs a wall even more because I'm like, oh, he's not good at everything.
Yeah. Do you think that like athletes in general need to showcase more, like I'm kind of curious what your thoughts, like showcase more like not them at their peak performance on media, or doing other things other than like their sport?
I think yes and no. I think it's always refreshing to see because I think it makes you guys human, right? Like
Yeah.
it normalize even with the podcast, people are like, "Oh, let's go skiing," and then they think I'm good at skiing because I talk about it, and I'm like, "Guys, I'm not good at this, I just talk about it." Like, so it is interesting, and I think it normalizes, like, this like, the top tier athletes, and, like, obviously, you guys are all athletes, so you're like Tom Brady is a great skier. Like, yeah, no shit. He's like one of the greatest football players ever. Of course, he's athletic. Like, if he
Right,
wants to learn, but I think it is neat to be like, okay, you're dragging your hip on that shot, right? And
right.
it's like, that took me 300 tries. I love hearing that. I'm like, oh yeah, that didn't just happen first turn. And sometimes it does, great. But like, I don't know. I think there's a good mix. Obviously, you don't want to just like show like nothing but garbage on the internet. Like you want it to be
Right.
a little bit of a highlight reel, but I think people love crash reels always.
Yeah, sure.
But even just like a behind the scenes of like, okay, here's the turn. It's like an
Yeah,
Instagram versus
actually
reality.
totally, and actually, there is a beautiful send behind the scenes,
I tried to find it, I
that
couldn't. I
I
screenshot
can
it on
send
my
it.
phone and I
Oh,
was like,
really?
I'm gonna
I
look
can
this
send
up,
it to you.
and I couldn't find it.
I'll send it to you because I think it does a good job at showing some of the work that went into making the making it. They kinda, like, go switch back and forth from, like, planning to, like, the shot with the
Yeah, I
music
love
and
it.
then planning again. So I'll send it to you, and maybe you can link it in the,
Oh, link in
uh
bio.
link
Link
in
in
bio or something or under the podcast. But I think, yeah, it's a lot more. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into a
Yeah.
lot of behind
I
the scenes.
I've been part of many film projects, nothing to the
Right.
extent of yours, but, like, people are like, "Oh, that's sick," and I'm like, "Yeah, that 2 minutes took us 15 days, and none of us made
Mhm.
$1." So, like, it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah. And with and, like and also injury, like, you had a that was the question that we forgot to answer, like, in Beautiful Send, all 4 of us got injured. Jim was concussed, Anne got concussed. Tim, the other athlete, like, pulled something in his knee, and then I ended up having to get surgery afterward, and Jim and I were the only ones that made it to the end of the shoot, but Anne and Tim had to leave, like, 2 or 3 days early, like, they were still in Davos, Switzerland, but they
Guess you called
couldn't
me.
ski. So, quite crazy. So, we
Stunt
all got
double.
kind of injured. Yeah, yeah, that would have been so sick.
Well, it's like that filming is like, again, I'm dating myself, but it's like Days of Thunder, loose as fast, on the verge, out of control. Like, you either get it or
Oh,
you implode. There is no in between.
yeah. Yeah, totally. So
It's how many box jumps can you do in 60 seconds?
ooh, good question. Right now or when I actually did the physical testing?
Well, if anyone wants to
71.
watch, what is it?
71. I could do
71
71
is
when
the
I was
answer.
in high school, but
71 is the
I think I would have to try again. Like, I can go to the gym and I can test and make sure. That was kind of I'm better with that than, like, strength. I'm better at, like, more jumping, but with my ankle, it might be a little different right now. So
if anyone wants to see Madison's 2015, 2016 racing sponsor me video, it is available on YouTube.
my god, dude. I can't believe I gotta take some of this down, but
It
honestly, what
is hilarious. It is like one a thing of the times. Like 2015 is 7 years ago, just like
that was a
crazy.
I don't
But
know if
it's
I
like,
should keep it up or take it down, man.
I don't know. You have some gold on there. You also have Madison's communications project on nonverbal communication and body language, which
Pretty good, right?
is educational, and anyone who has questions on it should watch it. I have a
Yeah.
couple questions for you. Um,
Okay.
describe skiing to someone from another planet.
Whoa.
Like I just swerved out of nowhere with this. That's a
Yeah, I'm
great
like
interview host.
describe skiing to someone from another planet. All right. So there's these pieces of wood. Do they know what wood is?
You can assume, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Plank wood, 2 pieces. Strap on your feet. You go fast down a hill. There's snow from the sky that's on the ground, and you glide down a hill with planks on your feet and it's fun. It makes you smile, and so you keep doing it.
I think that's acceptable. Um,
Oh my god.
first first word that comes to mind when I say these words. Are you prepared?
Oh, yeah.
You look very perplexed.
What was the word these words, or are
Oh, I
you
haven't
ready for
said the word yet. I
Oh,
have a
okay,
list.
okay.
I'm making sure we understand the assignment, I think.
Yes.
Cat,
Skiing.
love,
Friends.
powder,
Giggles.
spicy,
All the time.
hot dog,
Frank at Alta.
career,
Fun.
retirement,
Never.
dream,
Last night.
Crocs.
Always.
Let's talk about Crocs. I have a Croc obsession. Can we tell everyone why we love Crocs?
I mean, they're the best shoe, in my opinion. I wear them every day. I think we have a whole Jackson like cult of Croc people. I mean, it's everyone. I feel like everyone in Jackson has Crocs, and then it gets kind of out of control because there's all different kinds. Like we have flat form Crocs and hiking Crocs, and you know, I love them. I wear them all the time. The fuzzy Crocs or whatever.
I
You
know
love
people
them too.
yeah, people think it's a bit, and I'm like, "This isn't a bit." Like, I wear like, my
Yeah,
I'm old, and my feet hurt, and, like, these support my feet, and they're light, and they're comfy,
totally.
and, like
Light, comfy, easy to throw in your pack, like, in the summer, winter, whatever, like, I work out in Crocs. I pretty much do everything in Crocs. I don't, screw around with any other shoes that I just don't trust, to be totally honest.
any bad habits?
Yes, lots.
Give me one.
Um, okay, this is my current one. This is what I am attached to right now. I chew about a pack a day of gum, almost.
You could be smoking a pack of cigarettes.
Exactly,
You know,
but
you should kick the gum habit and start smoking cigarettes.
yeah, well,
Change your
I don't know
life, you
how that
know?
would do with my uphill career.
Change your life. I mean, that's bad, but, like, what that there's worse. Hidden talents.
I can chew a pack a day of gum. Just kidding.
Boo.
um,
Hang on.
I just
Don't bullshit me.
Look at that. You didn't even know I
wait,
had
what?
that.
Come on. Don't bullshit me.
A hidden talent? Um, something that I guess like I don't really advertise it. I know people know I like to dance, but like I'm pretty good at country swing dancing. I teach a lot of my friends here in Jackson, and I country swing dance actually every Tuesday. So tonight I'm going country swing dancing, and we, yeah, it's something that I think I'm pretty decent at. So that's kind of a hidden talent that I don't like put that out on the internet or normally. Besides that, I just like dancing in general.
Now every person who listens is gonna show up to some country line dancing bar and who lives in Jackson Hole on Tuesdays. All your Tinder
Let's
matches.
go. It's great. It's the
All your
best.
Tinder matches.
Oh
What's
God.
one thing you wish everyone knew about you?
I wish everyone knew about me.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this is deep. We're real deep here.
Uh-huh.
There can be no answer if you don't have one.
I don't know if I have an answer. I feel like we're all in this together. Like I really like it's just all about love, and we're all connected. It's all, like I don't know if there's anything someone needs to know about me right off the bat. Like I love getting to know people. I love connecting. I'm pretty open, but I think when it comes down to it, it's like we're all the same, you know. I
Yeah, we're all
I
human. I get that. No, that I'll take that. I will accept that answer.
All right.
If you weren't a skier, what would you be?
A penguin in the freezer.
If you are what you eat, what are you?
Chia seeds.
Chia seeds?
I eat a lot of chia seeds.
All right. I was just making sure I heard the answer correctly.
Probably
Favorite
gum too.
gum? No, we're done with gum. It's back to cigarettes. I'm telling you. Camel's probably looking for some skiers right now. Big
I don't
down.
know about this. I don't know.
Marlboro just like at the top, just this
I
could
mean,
be
a lot of the European guys really do that. Like,
you
I've
could
like rolled up
retire
in
off
Europe
this.
and they're just smoking cigs, about to go skiing early in the morning. I think it's great.
I think,
But
yeah, I
not
think we
maybe
should all
not for me, but for other people, yes.
smoke cigarettes.
My mom's gonna be like, Madison, I was listening to the podcast, and at the very end, you're talking about cigarettes. I don't know if I liked that part.
Shout out to your mom who makes an appearance in your YouTube video when you guys are driving from Michigan to Utah. I went deep,
She's
I'm telling
also
you.
You really did a lot of research, but also like let's shout out to Redhead Sells Real Estate. That's who she is on Instagram. She's
Hell
like
yeah.
the biggest supporter. So if anyone who's listening to this has a request from my mom, she's Redhead Sells Real Estate and she's the shit.
No one
She like
listening to this
blows it up.
podcast can afford to buy a house, especially in
No, that's true. She's just the best. She understands the algorithm of Instagram and she always comments and
I'm
posts and
gonna
makes up hashtags. It's great.
follow her.
You should.
Favorite TV show to binge watch? Like
I don't
what's
really watch TV.
none? You just had surgery. You didn't watch one dumb.
Oh, I did watch a little bit of television. I watched Girls. I
Okay.
thought it was really good. Oh, actually, I did watch something during COVID too. The Michael Jordan documentary.
Oh my God.
That was the best.
What is that called? It's so good. He's just like
The final
Last
or
Dance. Last Dance.
Last Dance.
I just love
I,
this.
I,
Like, no, we're not here to lose, dude. People are like, I'm not
I
having
love.
fun. He's like, get out. Like, we're not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, totally. My favorite is Dennis Rodman. I'm a big fan.
Well, yeah, he's the best. He's just like wrestling instead of being at the championship game.
Yeah, exactly.
What does breakfast look like for you right now? Like, what's your go-to breakfast?
What do I what?
What's your go-to breakfast? It's 5 a.m. We're going for a tour.
Ooh, I usually would. I mean, I'm a big smoothie. I do smoothies every day. I'm a big smoothie. So I like bananas, blueberries, dates, almond butter, protein powder, athletic greens, or whatever, some sort of like mixture, and then oat milk, and then I'm a big toppings chick. So I make my own granola and like with pepitas and sunflower seeds and oats and yeah, the whole coconut, whatever. I like it all. I'm a big smoothie person.
Okay. All right. I'll take that. Pocket snack.
Muffins.
Tell me about your muffins because I know you're a muffin maker.
God, I thought you'd never ask. Okay.
Tell me about your muffins. I'm gonna get be like, what?
My muffins. I just make a lot of them. I mean, you can if you're watching the video, like look at all these. There's a bunch of bananas.
Smell the bananas.
Big
Can I order
bananas.
muffins?
Say again.
Can I order muffins?
No, but you can come to Jackson and I'll probably make some because I
You're
make
gonna
them.
regret
Like,
that. You're gonna have this fucking van that's in your driveway for months because I'm stuck. Really, I'm not. That's my play. I'm like, oh, I'm stuck. I gotta ski here every day, and then you're gonna be like, shit. Should never invite.
But those
I will eat muffins.
They're good. They're just good pocket snacks.
What's your best muffin? Hit me with your muffin.
Go-to muffin is like always like Kodiak cakes, banana, and then like seeds and nuts or chocolate chips or whatever. And then I just make those all the time because I don't have to follow a recipe. I just know it and I don't measure anything. Just whip them together. And then I bring them to friend's house or whatever.
Go-to karaoke song.
Ooh, totally depends. I love karaoke.
Same.
If I Ain't Got You, Alicia Keys is one I did when I was in high school, and I feel like that one just slaps. But like country, we could go with there's so many different there's too many to choose from. That would be a fun one. I was thinking next, if I went and did karaoke, if they had Barbra Streisand's Don't Rain on My Parade. It's a little more theatrical, but I feel like I could do it.
So we do this thing. Well, I haven't done it in a long time, but we used to do this thing that if you're singing karaoke, your friends are doing interpretive dance behind you. So then you have backup dancers, and it's a thing. But
Okay,
also,
well, I'm really interested in that.
yeah, it's good. Also, and then it's a trade-off. So you got like a comfort behind you if you're nervous about it. In
Yeah.
Buffalo, we have live band karaoke and they do
Okay.
like emo nights. So you're like screaming Taking Back Sunday at the top of your lungs, but you have a full band that's like
No
crushing it.
way.
Yeah, it's a full shit show. Like
I gotta
people are
come
like
out for that.
there's little circle pits and they do like 90s night and they do like 2000 it'll be like people just singing Limp Bizkit, but it's like
Let's
funny.
go,
Not
dude.
like people who wanna sing Limp Bizkit. It's like it's it's a
I wanna
damn
come out
good.
for that. You should have let me know for
Yeah,
my East
that's
Coast tour.
you were far from where I am, but maybe next time.
Okay, deal.
Let me look if I have any more questions. I don't like that one. Oh, what would you name your boat if you had a boat?
Like, off the top of my head?
Yeah.
Hmm, maybe, like, chowder?
All right, I'll take that's acceptable. Biggest pet peeve on social media right now, or just biggest pet peeve. Let's just say biggest pet peeve.
Okay, I mean, I think I liked the social media pet peeve.
You can, I mean, if
Um,
that's it, then
let's do social media pet peeve. My social media pet peeve right now is I like I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with social media. So sometimes I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna like just play the game and like do these ridiculous songs that last 18 seconds or whatever, 6 seconds. Or, I mean, geez, I think that's maybe what it is. I really appreciate good music. And so I don't like this whole idea that I have to use a trending song in order to get the algorithm to like me. That's my biggest pet peeve. I think that music is so much better than like this kind of this dumb songs, no offense, but like I'm only saying it's dumb and I
why
usually am
would I have?
pretty it just it bothers me because I really value music and I love the idea of like action and music together. Um, and so I think it kind of ruins it when there's like only a little bit of a song that you're able to use. Sometimes it slaps and it's good, but like the fact that everyone's using the same song, like that kind of gets irritating for me. Um, but then I'm also conflicted because I'm like, all right, well, I have to, it's part of my job to be on social media. And if I need to have a following and all this stuff, it all goes through your head. And so I kind of go back and forth with it. But that might be my biggest pet peeve is the whole music thing.
This is a yes or no question. Has anyone asked to buy your socks yet?
That's that's pretty funny. I think people most of the time are pretty grossed out by my feet. But yeah, I guess like on Instagram, I get a lot of weird messages and I mostly don't I mostly don't read them, but there's definitely been some weird foot things. Especially when I hiked a volcano in Crocs and I like my feet were fully trench foot and people were like kind of losing their minds. They're like, what is happening here? Yeah, I
Sell
get
me
some
those
weird messages
socks.
about you. Yeah, yep.
Um, Great. I think that was great. I think we nailed it. I don't think I have
I
any
think
more
we
questions for you.
I mean, we kind of covered a lot of bases here, Adam.
Yeah, we kind of go all over the map. That's always the goal for the podcast. This is my time for you to just let you like shout out to everything you're doing. What do you have coming up this winter?
Mhm.
Sponsors to thank because those are very important. So we like to get a little of that. Where can people find you? And
Mhm.
anything else you want to tell anybody?
Wow.
It's
Okay.
your
I will try
outro.
to make this quick. My outro. Um, my outro is you can find me. We'll go from back to front, or like the last one to the first one. Find me Madison Rose on Instagram. MADISONNN Rose on Instagram. That's probably the best place. I would say what I'm looking forward to this season is um yeah, more focusing on a lot of like uphill missions and more like self human powered kind of stuff. Um, as well as like developing my skills more in the mountaineering. side of skiing and taking more avalanche courses and that kind of thing. Maybe get into ice climbing. I don't know. I think that'd be really cool. So just kind of getting out of my comfort zone a little bit. And then I'm trying to think of the other questions. What else is going on? I mean, what?
Go ahead. What else? Like, are you filming anything?
Oh, I mean, dude, I'm taking it all day by day. We'll see how it goes.
Love
I
it.
think I have a couple personal projects coming up, maybe in the spring. And you sometimes you don't know what's gonna happen until you get a call or so I don't know exactly what my season has in store, but I'm gonna try to ski as much as I can. When I'm home, be home and ski here in the Tetons because I live in a really amazing place. Jackson Hole Mountain Resort is also an amazing place. So spend time with family and friends. I'm just taking it, working on the self, working on community, and that's all I could ever ask for. So yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate your questions and yeah, where we went. I know it was like fun tangents and stuff, but like
I think it
I
makes it a little
talking
more
about this
fun.
is great. Yeah, it's way fun. I appreciate it. I really do. So thank you. And thanks for being patient with me because I ghosted you on accident.
One more probably important people to thank, sponsors.
Yes. Helly Hansen, big sponsor of mine. Vocal skis, so Marco Del Bello Vocal, Osprey packs, Lakey poles, and Sweet Protection. Those are
Awesome.
I'm so thankful. I feel like I'm aligned with the and supported by like the coolest companies ever. Like I couldn't be more fired up. And it's been like to get to where I am like with these with this crew. I'm so stoked. I love everyone. It's like a family in each of my sponsors. So they all know that I love them so much, but I'm glad you asked me to talk about them cuz I feel really supported and loved by them individually.
Yeah, they make the world go round. And thank you. Thank you. I know we had a little miscommunication, but thank you for lining it up, getting it done, and having an hour and a half long conversation. So,
You're amazing. I
yeah, I'm
appreciate you so much.